Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And we are joined here now by Jackie Young. So excited to have her here. Open Minds Hypnosis. Yes, that's what we're doing today. We're talking to our hypnotherapist, Jackie Young, here joining us, and her website, just to make sure we have it right, openmindshypnosis.ca. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm terrific, Jill. Thanks so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for being here. For those that may not know of you yet, being it's your first show, would love to find out more about you. And I know you've had a very long career in education. There's a lot to your background. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, be happy to. You're absolutely right. So my first career was in education, and I kind of climbed that ladder. I went from being a teacher to a special ed teacher, spent a lot of time in special education, then went into the administrative side of things so I could have a bit wider scope of responsibility and leadership. And I loved that. And so I went up to the point where I was in charge of a school district. So
Wow.
just retired from that. And because of all of my work in special education, I really kept my finger into what was happening with brain research,
Hmm.
neuropsychology, and neurology. And of course, every time I dug deep into that, I'd go down these rabbit holes, and they all ended up with hypnosis.
Wow. Okay. My sister works as an aide for a special ed class. My nephew has special needs, so near and dear to the heart. And I mean, all the
Yes.
work you do, I commend you on that. I know
Oh,
it's not
thank you.
easy, but that's so kind that you dedicate your life to helping so many people with this. And now I'm extra, even more special, curious. I know things about hypnosis. First of all, we're going to talk about today what hypnosis is, what it does, some of the benefits, and I'm learning right now, I think, that you're telling me hypnosis can potentially help someone with special needs.
I'm telling you that hypnosis can pretty much help anyone with a need.
Wow.
And so, if there are behavior needs, if
Yes.
there are people have LDs, or if they've been um, involved with trauma in their past, if they've got childhood trauma, if they've got post traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, stress, and of course, we all know about phobias and
Yeah.
fears, smoking, weight loss. But my focus right now is actually the mind body connection. And I have an online course that's entitled Mind Body Coherence Blueprint. So that's really where I'm putting a lot of my focus right now, is so people can really understand when their body is in distress or their mind is in distress, that we can actually learn a number of things to help alleviate that stress. But what I will say is that if you're challenged by anything, either a challenging thought process, or there's some kind of a discomfort or distress, as I said, in your body, that could be irritable bowel syndrome, it could be pain in your joints, it could be psoriasis, it could be fertility issues, then what I would suggest is, alongside the doctors that you're seeing, because I would never say don't see your doctors, but do try to reach out to a hypnotist, because there's not a lot that hypnotherapy can't help with.
Well, for those who may not even know, let's start with the basics. What is hypnotherapy? Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'd love to. A hypnotherapy is simply a way that the hypnotist gets you into a beautiful trance, and we all go into trance lots of times during the day. So if you're daydreaming, you catch yourself daydreaming. If you are driving the car and you forget how you got home, that's called highway hypnosis, and that's the one we always use as an example. But we go in and out of trance all the time, and so your body
Hmm.
recognizes it as a very comfortable, very tranquil, very serene state. So there's nothing about going into that beautiful state of relaxation that the body doesn't actually already love. And when we go there, working alongside a hypnotist who has spent an awful lot of time, I hope, with you, doing a pre interview, going over what it is that you're looking for, how you'd like to feel at the end of the session, what you think the issues are, all of those kinds of questions, the intake questions, then we work together to really alleviate what it is that's causing you that distress. The way that we do that is we talk to the unconscious mind, and we talk to the unconscious mind because you're in such a relaxed state. We what we do is we bypass what's called the critical factor, and that is that analysis, that logical mind, that's your conscious mind, who really likes to kind of thwart everything that feels a little bit um spiritual or a little bit out there. And so what we like to do is simply calm the conscious mind. Just let it say, you can rest a little bit. We're going to go down and talk to the unconscious mind, because in the unconscious mind, that's where all of your beliefs, your attitudes, all of the information that you learned in childhood, everything that your mother and father ever talked to you about, that's where it all resides. And sometimes it stays there in ways to protect us, but we don't understand how it's protecting us. Let me give you an easy example. You're in a phone, you're not in a phone,
I
you're
know
in
what
a
you mean.
home. And around the dinner table all the time, your parents say, elbows off the table, elbows off the table. So that's just something, that sing-song thing that some of us learned as a child. You start dating 14, 15, and you go out for your first date. You're all excited. This guy is just so cute. And he puts his elbows on the table. And there's something about that that just turns you off. You
Bothers
don't
you.
even know it.
I, God, I'm finished. I'm going to tell you my story. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
You don't even know why. It's just
Mhm.
something you think, oh, I don't think this is going to work out. So
Yes.
it's not consciously that this thought comes to you and you say, oh my goodness, this heathen has put his elbows on the table. It's just something that is a belief and an attitude in your unconscious mind. And it just kind of flows up, and you just have this state of discomfort. You can't even figure out why. Now, that's an easy example. We've got lots of people who have trauma in their background, and those feelings are gut wrenching in terms of how they play out in the mind body cohesion. Go ahead with your
Wow.
story.
No, I have this thing with men. It's usually men because if you're on a date, right? I mean, I have a boyfriend now, but still, I've never been married. I'm 45. I have two little boys. But there's a thing that always bothered me. If I went out with someone and if they eat their salad with the fork like this, let me get a pen. Ready? Look,
I know what you're going to do. Yes.
they pound and they go
Yeah.
like this. And that, and if they drive a car slow in the right lane, I'm done. But is that really fair of me to judge someone? But I know
Well,
it bothers me that greatly. But why does that bother me? It's happened before, but
exactly.
what's deep rooted in me but the chop, 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 and then slow in the right lane. I'm like, you drive in the right lane if you want to do 55, the speed limit here in New York. But I would like to do at least 60 in the middle lane, 65. So those are my two like pet peeves about people.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are deep seated. We got some work to do with you, Jill.
I think so. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's amazing you said that though. So,
But it's really interesting because it does play itself out in so many ways. And we know, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people out there now that don't understand that there's a real connection between the body and the mind. And if something is amiss, it's going to find a way out. It's absolutely going to find a way to demonstrate that something is wrong. And the body always wants to keep itself in a state of homeostasis. It wants to keep itself healthy. So if something is making it not be healthy, it's well worth trying to figure out what's going on. And if it's in the body, then usually it's going to be in the mind, or vice versa sometimes. And I say that with the deepest of respect to Western medicine, because I'm not suggesting for an instant that that isn't worthy. In fact, I work alongside doctors and nutritionists and dietitians, et cetera. That's our best work together.
yeah. Wow. All right. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, and how can we fix that? How can I fix my disgust in someone who does that? Do I need fixing? I mean,
Well, you know what? It's only worth fixing if you think it needs fixing.
no, I don't think
If
that's
if it's
a
not a
major
problem
thing.
for
Okay.
you, if it's one of those boxes that you just want to check and say, nope, this one's not going to work, and you're comfortable with it, then it's not a problem. We want to see people that know that something is
Yes.
really driving them in a way
Mm-hmm.
that they know
They
isn't
can't.
serving them.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And affecting them
I
more on a
always,
daily basis. Go ahead.
yeah, exactly. We always talk about, or I always talk about, the work that's for your highest and greatest good. And so, if you've got these challenging thoughts that are moving in your head all the time, or we always talk about fear of flying or smoking, et cetera. Those are easy ones. But what I would like for people to know is, try to make hypnotherapy your first call, not your last call. Because we always get people saying, well, I've tried everything else and now I'm trying you because what have I got to lose? And what I
Mm-hmm.
would like for people to know is, and if I get known for this, then that's great. Make us your first call. You've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And you may gain years and years of alleviated challenges. So, I mean, seriously, find a good one, do your homework, make sure that you take the time to have a consult call. I actually guarantee all of my services. That's not something that a lot of people do. All of my work is online. So I have clients actually all across Canada, all across the States, and some in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I can keep the time zones clear, then I'm good to serve wherever people want to call in from. But
Yeah.
it's like every kind of therapy, every kind of counseling. You want to spend your time getting to know the counselor, and you have to build that rapport. It's really, really incredibly important that you have a strong rapport, that you feel comfortable, and that you can trust the person.
Got it. Well, there's some great testimonials on the website, which again, I want to remind everyone, it's openmindshypnosis.ca. I was reading them earlier. One person in particular participated in your 5-week weight loss management program. Let me just read it. Jackie provided me with the guidance to enjoy relaxation, calmness, and overall sense of well-being. The hypnotherapy sessions brought forth a heightened state of awareness around all the strategies that I already knew. Jackie has an uncanny ability to create images and have supported my journey of self-awareness, self-fulfillment as well. And I've been able to incorporate numerous small changes into my daily routine in an easy and effortless way. I now feel that I have the skills to continue the journey for the foreseeable future and feel empowered to make great decisions each day. And there's also, that's from someone from WS, Thornhill, Ontario, Canada. There's so many other great testimonials on here. I mean, too many to read, but I urge everyone to go to the website. And you've helped some of the people, this person in particular, saying the methods are easy to adapt to in any situation. Repetition during the sessions made it effortless to create a new living and correcting habits, leading this person down negative paths. So that's it. How long does it normally take someone to create, to change, to either make a new habit or to change an existing habit? Just curious.
It's really interesting, and that's a really good question. It depends on the person. It depends on the habit. It depends how ingrained the habit is. It also depends on how badly the person wants to change the habit. So, for instance, on my Google reports, I have someone who was smoking for 47 years and had tried to quit a couple of times
Wow.
and would go for maybe a week or 2 weeks. And one session, 1 2 hour session, guaranteed results. And she stopped smoking after that one session. And I checked in with her after 2 weeks. I checked in with her after 4 weeks. And, still like 6 months later, she's not smoking.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
impressive. But you also
Yeah.
have to want it, right? It's not like when my mom used to smoke, we wanted her to quit. Unfortunately, she passed away from lung cancer, most likely from that. But for years, I remember as a child always wanting her, but it's something within that, we couldn't force her to go see someone, but the person does have to be willing to make that change and commitment, correct?
You're absolutely correct. Yeah. If we have someone that comes to us and says, well, my doctor or my wife made me come, it's not going to work. Or
Yeah.
we'll have also mothers who will say, well, my son needs help with this. That's not going to work. It has to be the person who wants to change. And then here, I've got another story for you, because I had someone whose father died of lung cancer, and she called me because she wanted to stop smoking. One of the things that I do is spend a lot of time talking to different parts of the subconscious. Now, a lot of people do that, but I have found that I seem to do that a lot more than other people, and it works very well for me. That's one of the reasons why I can give that guarantee that I do. Um, but she smoked because in her unconscious, it was her way of being able to keep her relationship with her father alive. So
Oh.
all we had to do was find another way to keep that relationship with her father alive, which was, he loved reading the business section of the paper every morning, as did she. So then that now became her new ritualistic way of connecting with her dad. But she didn't know why she was. In fact, when she phoned me and we had our intake, she would say, this makes no sense to me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's also a key for people to know, that hypnosis is really going to help. When people say, I don't know why I do this, this doesn't make any sense to me, I've been trying to get rid of this forever. Hypnosis should be your first call. If any of those thoughts go through your mind, because for sure it will help you. It will pretty much probably eradicate the issue for you.
And let me also point out, just to confirm with you, Jackie, you do offer a free 20-minute consultation to your clients, correct?
Absolutely. Yes. As I said, it's really important that the client and myself both feel really comfortable with each other, that we have that rapport that's being able to be developed over that 20 minutes, so that when we start the work, we can really just kind of dig in and get going. And the other thing that I do is I spend probably an inordinate amount of time talking about how the conscious and the unconscious mind work, how one can thwart the other, why we have all these childhood issues if we do, and all of that information, because I like for my clients to be very, very informed. I want them to understand, like when they're in that beautiful state, when they hear me ask a question, there's part of them that are going to go, oh, now I know why she's doing that. Yeah, this makes sense, as opposed to it being even slightly jarring. I want for them to be, and I take a long time to make sure that they are at their heightened comfort zone. And it's one of the other reasons that I do all of my work online, so that they can stay in their home. They can be very comfortable either in their bed or their favorite chair. They don't have to come in. It's hard to go for counseling and go for therapy. To make that phone call, to make that first introductory kind of reach out is terribly, terribly difficult. And so what I've tried to do is alleviate all of those things that make it more difficult.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this. Wow, we still have 8 minutes left on the show here. I want to talk more about the work
Well,
you're
now
doing.
what are we
What
going to
else?
say?
Well, there's so much to the benefits of hypnotherapy. I'll ask you, what in particular did you want to share with us next?
I think the one thing that I wanted for people to know is, as I said, the guarantee, and the reason I feel I can offer a guarantee is this works. I want for people to understand that they have literally nothing to lose. So if we have the consult call and we move forward, I absolutely know, not because I'm this good, but because I believe in the power of your unconscious mind. I know how the unconscious and the conscious mind work together. All I'm trained to do is kind of to work as your GPS to get you, by asking the right questions, to that state where you can really start to explore the resources that you already have, but that have been covered up or they haven't been tapped properly. And so because we work together, I work very much with my clients in a full-on partnership. And we're having conversations just like you and I are now. So
Yeah.
they're not asleep by any means. They're not in a blackout state. They are fully functioning, and we're having a conversation where they can even correct me if I hear something wrong. So they're in this lovely state, but we're able to have this conversation and really explore all the different parts that might be holding them back and why. If you
Got
think,
it.
I'll give you this example. If you think of a 5-year-old is a tremendously skilled problem solver.
Mine just
That's
turned 6. I'm particularly, yeah, last week. I'm
and
thinking,
so you
God.
can see it. It's amazing to watch what our kids can do when they're so young and they're just full of wonderment and curiosity, and they're just learning. They're sponges. That's what the unconscious mind is like. And so when it takes in a fact, it takes it in like a 5-year-old does. It takes it in the entirety of what it is, what it has just learned. It doesn't question anything, just like a 5-year-old wouldn't say, do I need to Google to get more information about this? Do I have all the information to make a really fully rounded
Yeah.
decision on this? So it's exactly the same way that the unconscious mind works. It tries to always keep us
Interesting.
safe. It always wants to work on our behalf. But sometimes the thinking, like the 5-year-old, can be thwarted. It can be immature in its ability to kind of see everything. And that's because the memory or the belief system was usually formed at a very young age.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Is it true that everything you learn everything up until the age of 7? Or what do they say? Not that you learn everything, but what do they say about the mind? It stops.
What I'll say is that children are in a pure theta brainwave state
Okay.
up until the age of about 7 or 8. You'll hear different ages on the outside of that. The reason that's important is because when we're doing hypnosis, we take you into that theta brainwave state. So it's a very similar mind state whereby you are curious, innovative, loves to hear fairy tales and metaphors, really, it enjoys that kind of learning and problem solving. And so I work with the unconscious mind as a pure ally. I don't have the answers, but I know absolutely that your unconscious does. All I need to do is help us uncover what's being hidden or untapped at that particular moment.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much. And let's just remind everyone again, Jackie, how can we contact you?
The easiest way is to go onto my website, Open Minds with an S, plural, Open Minds, hypnosis.ca, because I am in Canada. Or you can email me at Jackie@openmindshypnosis.ca, keeping it nice and simple.
Got it. Now, I know you mentioned anyone could be hypnotized, right? Some people, I think, still have this notion of stage hypnotism, and they
Yeah.
might be a little leery of that. Could you share the difference of that and what that is? You know, if someone goes up on the stage, act like a dog, and the guy barks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cluck like a chicken is usually the one everyone uses. Yeah. Are you going to make me cluck like a chicken?
yes, that's it.
When when you go to see a stage hypnotist, and we all know how purely entertaining those are. So I would say kudos to anybody, because that's not an easy gig. When you put your hand up to say, yes, I'm going to go on stage, you've automatically entered into a transaction, which basically
Ah,
says to the hypnotist, yeah, I'm game and I don't mind that I'm going to do all these things. And your unconscious mind is also game because you've entered that transaction. What you'll notice also is the stage hypnotist will kind of go through people really quickly, and those who are not kind of reacting quickly to what they want to do, they'll be sent back. So they end up with about 10 people who are going to be really beautiful subjects. The difference for the work that I do as a clinical hypnotist is I work with my background in counseling, my
mm-hmm.
master's in counseling, and it's very therapeutic approach. It's one of the reasons why it works so well if you're seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist also, because then everything gets aligned. So the work that I do is really to uncover in the unconscious mind what the conscious mind would like to be able to achieve, but simply is having a hard time doing so.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much. And also, as a hypnotist, could you share some other benefits that people can get from it? Give us some examples. Yes, we've talked about the weight loss. We talked about, I know more in particular, those with behavioral needs. You mentioned with children you're working for. Could you
Mm-hmm.
share some other examples of, the work that can be done to help people?
Oh, absolutely. If you have any phobias or fears, get in contact with a hypnotist. To stop smoking, see a hypnotist. It's the easiest way for sure to stop smoking. Weight loss is always tricky, as everybody who has a weight loss issue knows, but it's a really fantastic way to start with all of those new habits and new ways of understanding how to work with your body. As I said, I'm doing an online course now with mind body coherence. To really understand all of those things like IBS, psoriasis, fertility issues, anything where it feels like your body is out of whack with what you want for it to be, pain and joints, etc. Of course, there's fear of flying, anxiety and stress. I have a few people that have come to me for depression, so that also works. We always like to work with doctors when you're also doing that too, but it can absolutely work for depression. As I said at the beginning, if you've got an issue, please contact a therapist or a
Yeah.
hypnotherapist and say, will this help me? The other thing that I want for people to say is ask whether or not the hypnotist that you are calling is only working from scripts or actually is going to take the information that you are working with in the intake process to utilize that and to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you are getting a really beautifully personalized experience. I'm not taking anything away from scripts because I can use scripts also, but there's scripts that I write for my
Yep.
clients. There's other hypnotists that may have a book that have all the scripts in them. And if you come to them for, gambling, they'll open that script. As I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's what you're looking for, ask the question of the hypnotist. Ask them about the work that they do. Ask them about if they have a guarantee. Ask them about how long they've been in practice, if they have testimonials, the same kinds of questions that you would ask going to any therapist. I would like to think that we're elevating the profession. I want to take away from the woo woo and the devil stuff and just really understand the reason I got into this is because of all the science behind it. It is profound, and I am humbled every time I have a client. My clients really inspire me in terms of how much I learn from working with them.
Beautifully said. And by the way, just to let everybody know, just a little of your credentials as well. Would you mind sharing?
Oh, sure. So I belong to the International Association for Counselors and Therapists. I was trained at the Grace Smith hypnotherapy school. I have plenty of hours. As I said, all of my work is online, my master's in counseling, my background in special education. The other thing that I would say is working with students is really exciting to me because of my background in education. So study skills, anxiety, depression, stress management for students, it's never too young. As I said, as long as the client is the child and the child wants to come in,
Yeah.
or the young person wants to come in.
Wonderful. Well, Jackie, pleasure getting to know you today. And once again, want to point out you do offer a free 20-minute consultation, and you work with people all over the world, correct?
I do, yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
So as a hypnotist, ladies and gentlemen, reach out to Jackie. She'll offer you that free consultation. And one thing about her, I can tell you right now, that's unique. I just love talking to her, and she's clearly credentialed and she does an amazing job. Read the testimonials on the website, but she's also guaranteeing this. I never talked to any other hypnotist, to be honest, that guarantees their work like that. That says something. And if that helps you in any way, reach out to Jackie, because that's pretty impressive. That's how good she is. All right. She may be a little modest.
I appreciate that, Jill. Thank you.
But it's true. And so, what do you, we're out of time. To leave us today, Jackie, what else do you want to say before we part ways?
I'm going to go back to my sing song, which is, you know what? Don't make it your last call. Make it one of your first calls.
Love it. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting
Great.
to know you today, and looking forward. Thank you to the next time we get to connect. Have a fantastic day. And to all of our listeners and of course viewers here, please stay tuned. More of the shows coming right up after the break.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.